Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about some brand new Obsessions palettes from Huda Beauty. These are the brown Obsessions palettes. I gotta admit, I'm pretty excited about these. I have a feeling that people are going to give them a hard time because more neutrals, I know. But I'm personally a big fan of the Obsessions palettes. The nude Obsessions palettes that came out a year or two ago are still some of my favorites. I still find myself going back to those little palettes and especially using them as sort of supplement or companion palettes. So I have a feeling that these are going to be really useful for me in that way too. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm supposed to save my opinion for the end. First, let me give you all the info about these little brown Obsessions palettes. They are currently available. I purchased mine from Sephora. You can also find them on the Huda Beauty website, and they're priced at $29 US a piece. As has been the recent trend for these Obsessions palettes releases, there are 3 different colors. The 3 palettes are Toffee Brown, Caramel Brown, and Chocolate Brown. So let's start with the Toffee Brown Obsessions. All of these palettes have a heavy-duty plastic packaging. They all have the locking clasp closure, so they are not magnetic. And each one has this really pretty tortoise shell design on the front of the palette. On the back, you'll see there are no shade names. None of the shades in these palettes have shade names or numbers or anything. And there are no eye safety warnings on any of these 3 palettes. Looking inside now, each palette has a mirror. And then we have 9 shades here, 3 rows of 3. A mixture of different finishes here. We're seeing those swirled shades that we've seen before. I think they were first in the Pastel Obsessions. There are definitely a couple of these in the Naughty Nude palette. Each one of these has a little pop of color. The Toffee Brown Obsessions has this really bright mustardy yellow matte shade. In total, there are 5 mattes and 4 shimmers, and the shimmers have a variety of textures, as many of the Huda palettes have. There are a variety of textures in these palettes. There are none of those slippery jelly shades like she got slammed for in the Naughty Nude palette, so I'm sure everybody's very happy not to see those back because, man, people really hated that. Next we have Caramel Brown. Same style of packaging, just a little bit deeper, warm brown shade. Same layout here, but the Caramel palette's pop of color is this really bright corally orange shade. In this palette, there are 4 mattes and 5 shimmery shades. Last, we have the Chocolate Brown palette. We're seeing 5 mattes and 4 shimmers here. The pop of color in here is more of a peachy pink type of color. Not really a pop of color, but I guess compared to brown, this is the contrast color. We'll say contrast color instead of pop of color for this one. This peach shade looks a little bit more brighter and more like a pop of color in person than it does on camera. I think just this bright ring light kind of makes it look just a little bit less vibrant, but you'll be able to tell better in the swatches, I think. Now I want to show you some swatches of these palettes. I'm going to swatch them all individually. All the swatches are done on the inside of my arm with no primer down first, no dampened brush, just the dry shadows straight onto my dry skin. I will be showing you both finger and brush swatches. The finger swatches are pictured on top, then each corresponding brush swatch will be directly below. As always, for my brush swatches, I'll be using my trusty e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush, and I'll clean the brush off in between each shade using my Vermona color switch. That way there's no shadow transfer between swatches. So let's get into those swatches now. Now that you've seen swatches of all three of these palettes, I want to show you just a little handful of comparisons. Keep in mind, these are neutral palettes. These are brown, very neutral palettes. I could do 100 swatch comparisons and there would still be something else that would be worth looking at. So I just did a little handful of comparisons here. I'm gonna take some time on my Instagram to take your swatch requests there. This is something I do pretty often. Make sure you keep an eye out on Makeup.Just.For.Fun on Instagram. I'll open up the requests. You can tell me exactly which two palettes you want to see compared, and I will post those on my Instagram stories. And don't be sad if you miss those. I will save them in a story highlight, so you'll be able to go back and see all of the requested swatches. Not sure when I'm going to do those yet. I want to be able to dedicate a lot of time to making really nice, thorough swatches for you. So just keep your eyes peeled on Makeup.Just.For.Fun Instagram and it'll be a good time. It'll be a swatch party. So let's take a look at a few comparisons now and then I'll wrap up all my thoughts at the end. Hopefully you found those comparisons helpful. Like I said, I'll do more on Instagram soon, but for now, I have to say I'm pretty impressed with these palettes. When I first saw the pictures of them online, I was a little bit like, oh no, because we've had a lot of neutrals coming from Huda Beauty lately. We had the big palette, the Naughty Nudes palette. You know, the Nude Obsessions, I've really liked those. I gave them a great review. I've used them consistently and enjoyed them consistently. So I was a little bit nervous to reapproach that same territory because, you know, that's kind of a lot to live up to. But I have to say, I think that these are way more interesting in person than I expected them to be. Now look, these are neutral palettes. They're brown palettes. It says brown on there, okay? They're not pretending not to be neutral brown palettes. But I really like that they chose to do this contrast color in each one. It makes for a really unique and curated color story. I think it was incredibly smart to do the contrast color in a matte shade instead of in a shimmer finish. The pop of color effect is so often a random colorful shimmer thrown into an overwhelmingly neutral palette. This definitely feels more interesting to me to do the more colorful shades in mattes. You could easily hone in on the more colorful matte shade and really take your eye look in a very color heavy direction, or you can use that to mix with another matte in the palette to add a little bit of vibrancy, you know, add a little bit more warmth to the crease. There's a lot of versatility with doing that colorful shade in the matte. I think it's unexpected and I think it's really nice. I do wish that the Pinky Peach shade in the chocolate brown palette had been a little bit more saturated, a little bit more of an obvious sort of pop of color in this palette. But I think this one is really nice because it is very neutral, especially compared to the other two that are decidedly very warm. This one has a lot more neutral undertone shades. Clearly there are still warm tones in here, but this palette seems very well balanced, and from the original promo photos, I thought this one was going to be the most underwhelming and the most boring, and it actually has a lot of richness and a lot of depth and variation that I think I'm going to enjoy using in my collection, and I think it's going to be very user-friendly for consumers at large as well. I'm also across the board very happy with the formula in all three palettes. Was a little bit nervous when I saw the swirly tie-dye shades because I had a flashback to the Pastel Obsessions palettes. Those didn't really work out well for me. I did not enjoy the formula in those palettes, so I was nervous that we were going to get a repeat performance in these Brown Obsessions palettes. Not the case. These seem to be very lovely, pigmented, blendable, easy to use, wearing really well. I've been playing with these for a few days now, and overall I've had a great experience. Performance, I would say, definitely on par with the Nude Obsession, so that's a relief. Overall, I'm pleasantly surprised by these palettes. I was expecting to be bored and underwhelmed, and I've honestly had a great experience with these. I've enjoyed playing with them. Unsurprisingly to everyone, I particularly enjoy the Toffee Brown palette. I like mustardy matte yellows. I loved the Melt Rust palette. I loved the ColourPop Limoncello palette. You know, I see a matte mustard yellow and my little ears just perk up. I really like this one. I think I'm going to do 3 tutorials using each one of these palettes in a separate video, just so you can see these in action, maybe get some ideas for color combos, or you know, you could follow along with other shades that you have, because you may have similar shades already in your collection, so keep an eye out for that. But now's the time when I want to hear what you think about these palettes. Are you interested in these? Are any of these on your wish list? I would love to hear what you think about these palettes. I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Wow, we're only doing the thumbnail and we're struggling this much. Not a good sign. You can also find them on the Huda Beauty. Wow. Okay. Why did I say it like that? I am so happy about my casually sweaty look. Less happy about this monstrous zit on my chin. I think we should all just agree to ignore it until it sees itself out. You know, it happens. Everybody breaks out. It's a thing that happens. Okay, focus. Oh, Swatch brush, where art thou? Haha. You know, I got a new e.l.f. brush and I just haven't been able to bring myself to switch over to it. We're going on 5 years of swatching with this brush. This is just my loyal friend. Yes, we are about to hit 5 years of this channel. I can't believe it. And I have a massive giveaway coming up. So stay tuned to the channel for that. Brush swatch. Brush swatch. How many times have I said that in the last 5 years? So many. It's going great. I love it. Okay, calm down. Calm down about your sweaty cheeks. Never. Are you overwhelmed, underwhelmed, just whelmed? Can you just be whelmed? Movie quote. As long as you don't get too close, you really can't see that. I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, the full coverage one, mixed with a little bit of the ColourPop Pretty Fresh concealer just to get the shade right, and I feel like it did a pretty good job. You should see, this bad boy is large in charge and very, very red, like angry red, so I'm impressed. Wow, you need to pull it together. Okay, just give myself a pep talk. Okay, thanks for watching. I love your face so much. And I'm gonna see you real soon in another video, okay? Alright, thanks for hanging out with me. I love your face, so cute. Okay, bye. you.